This is incredible! This is a comet. It's about 5 kilometers wide, and it's hurtling through space at over 250,000 kilometers per hour. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that we are chasing it in a little spacecraft called David, and we're gonna try and intercept this comet before it hits the end of its orbit and disappears into the darkness of our solar system, never to be seen again. Asteroids and comets are leftovers from the formation of our solar system some 6 billion years ago. They're icy rocks that can tell us about the conditions that existed back then. But they're also potentially very dangerous. And we want to know which asteroids and comets are out there and what their orbits are like, so that we can potentially defend Earth against them if necessary. The most famous of these icy visitors is, of course, Comet, which graced our skies back in 2020. It was the first comet to be designated as a potential threat to Earth, and I remember watching it with my own eyes when I was a student at a university. It wasn't quite as spectacular as some of the images you see here, but it was still pretty amazing. But it's one thing to watch a comet from afar with the naked eye. It's another thing entirely to chase one down in a little spacecraft. We launched the first spacecraft to chase a comet back in 1986. It was called Jodo, and it chased down Halley's Comet. And although it didn't quite reach the comet, it flew past it within 100 kilometers and returned incredible images and data about the comet's nucleus. After that, we got better, and we started hitting our targets in 2004. The Stardust spacecraft flew through a path of dust and gas from a comet called Wild 2 and collected samples of it. Then, in 2014, the Rosetta spacecraft reached a comet named 67P and landed a probe on its surface, which transmitted data for over 2 years before its signal was lost. And now it's time for the next step. Enter the David spacecraft. It was launched in 2021, and it's on a mission to intercept a comet named 2I, which was discovered back in 2018. The comet is currently about 3.3 billion kilometers away, but David is closing the distance quickly. And in a few months' time, it will start transmitting data back to Earth. That's because the comet is going to pass between the orbits of Jupiter and Saturn, which is an incredibly far way from Earth, so we gonna have to wait until 2031 for David to reach the comet. Hopefully it won't fall apart on the way there. Asteroids and comets are remnants of the early days of our solar system. By studying them, we can learn about the conditions that existed back then, but are also potentially dangerous. And by tracking them, we can make sure that they don't pose a threat to Earth. Now you need to watch. Why do we keep launching rockets to the moon? Or have a look at SpaceX. Just build a city on Mars better than Star Trek.